Hello, this is Mike Furman at our Iredell Free News. We're here today with General James Mallory, the chairman of the Iredell County Board of Commissioners. General Mallory, thanks for joining us.
It's great to be here, Mike.
Excited to spend a few minutes today talking with you about the major decision that the commissioners made on Tuesday night to relocate the Confederate monument that's on the grounds of the Iredell County Government Center here in Statesville. First, let's start by talking about the past 8 months. Last summer, there were weekly, nightly protests around the monument. People downtown, some expressed that they didn't feel safe because we had counter-protests popping up and there was a lot of back and forth between two different groups. I know downtown businesses have complained about that type of environment not being good for business. I also know that around 7, 8, 9 months ago, it seemed like the county commission at the time was opposed to what happened last night. And so I think a lot of people were surprised by what happened on Tuesday night. So let's talk a little bit about how you got from last summer to last night.
Well, last summer, most of the bandwidth in terms of discussion was driven by some very passionate folks on both sides of a political spectrum. And the hardcore left Black Lives Matter movement, which was dominated by, if you read their literature, Marxism and a different agenda that really didn't resonate at all with any of the commissioners, nor did a racist response resonate. So there was a lot of noise, but there was no reason for us to make any changes based on the positions and the arguments taken by folks that are interested in identity politics and cancel culture and all of that. What did transpire over the last several months has been an opportunity to talk to individuals that have strongly held beliefs on both ends of the spectrum, but not the ones that were yelling and screaming and employing offensive language and not engaging in a respectful discussion of the issues. And there's groups and there's individuals out there that I was able and other commissioners were able to talk to individually, collectively, and understand their perspectives. And my own perspective that I came to this with was that the Confederate Memorial Monument was there as a memorial. It's there to recognize the sacrifice of over 573 Confederate soldiers from Iredell County who answered the call to the colors by their state. And they had no grave sites. I think that people were trying to continue to process and make sense of the loss of life, which you consider was, more than a third of the young men that left this county, and there were a large number that did, over 1,500, I believe. So that's what that memorial meant to me, and has never meant anything else than to honor their sacrifice. And I had 3 great-great-grandfathers who wore Confederate gray, so that's where I was coming from. But I was not aware of the other impacts that African Americans who come from obviously a different experience feel. And in talking with individuals that I respect and are members of this community and major contributors to our town and county, I discovered that they carried around a load of some things that I didn't realize they did, that I never have had to do or feel, and that was not fair. That's not fair to them. And so to the extent that the memorial represented a reminder of an actively oppressive time of segregation and Jim Crow laws and voter suppression. They just shouldn't have to carry that along with them every day. There are many African Americans that don't have that feeling, that, you know, it's just water off the back of a duck and they get on. But for quite a few, it is a burr under the saddle. And we don't need to have people having a burr under the saddle for their whole life. I don't have to be able to, respect and revere my ancestors at the expense of somebody else.
So you came to the conclusion that the monument could accomplish one of its intended purposes if it was located, I guess, more discreetly in a public cemetery.
Well, when you think about, I take memorials to soldiers very seriously. I've lost soldiers in combat and seen the effects of those losses on their families and on their battle buddies. So memorializing their loss and recognizing it is hugely important to me. And when you think about the memorials that are most impactful, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is not placed in front of the U.S. Capitol. It's not in front of the White House. It is in Arlington National Cemetery with the other honored dead, where respect can be paid, but where people's current political beliefs or agendas are not projected onto it in any way. And so if it's located in a cemetery, then it isn't an appropriate location, particularly if there are contemporaries in the same cemetery from the same Confederate battle buddies that served alongside the men who didn't have a marked grave and had no place for their grieving families to go and pay respects. So there's options, and what we're asking the city of Statesville to do is simply to open a door to make available a location for that purpose. And the monument itself, the memorial, is not owned by the county. My assumption was that it was. But the reality is the Daughters of the Confederacy raised the money for the memorial. The Confederate Veterans Camp at the time designed it, oversaw its installation, conducted the dedication ceremony, all of those things. And the person that received it, in terms of its placement on county land in front of the newly constructed courthouse, wasn't a county official, was a former mayor of Statesville, and later was the mayor of Statesville again, from my understanding. So there was no paperwork to suggest that there was a donative intent. There certainly was no paperwork or minutes or anything else indicating the county had accepted it. And throughout, as long as I've known it, the Sons of Confederate Veterans have maintained it, cleaned it, and conducted their annual Memorial Day ceremonies. So it belongs to one of those two organizations, and I'm not sure which one. We need to sort that out with them. But ultimately, they are the ones, whoever the owner is the one that is going to determine where it should go. We have an opinion, I have an opinion, but ultimately that's not dispositive. We want to facilitate that movement and make opportunities available. That's what we've asked the city of Statesville, because the county doesn't have a cemetery, to make available either Fourth Creek or Oakwood. And I personally believe that the Oakwood Cemetery has more potential, given the presence of two veterans plots that are set apart. In any event, in talking with my African American friends and acquaintances, I just have come to that conclusion that this is not a burr under the saddle that they should have to deal with. We have other issues we need to focus on, and this does not need to be the focus of our attention, because it takes away from the original intent of that memorial, which to me is a disservice to those that died in the service of their state.
Well, Chairman Mallory, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today, and thank you for your leadership.
Thank you for being here, Mike.